Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. So for today's video, I'm going to be showing you some hacks that you can try using the Dollar Tree racetracks. You can find this in the toy section of Dollar Tree and they come two to a pack. Now before we get into the video, I do want to mention that this video is sponsored by EveryPlate. A big thank you to them. If you've never heard of EveryPlate, it is a meal kit delivery service. They deliver it to your door, and inside of the box you're going to have everything you need to create a full meal in under 30 minutes. This is so convenient for me because I work from home and I lose track of time all the time, and this way I get a home-cooked meal, which is affordable, and I get to spend time with my daughter because she loves helping me put these meals together. If you've been on my channel long enough, you've seen some of the videos that we've done where we've prepared these meals on her little play kitchen. She absolutely loves them, which is why I love them too. You can get started with EveryPlate for just $1.79 per meal and an additional 20% off another 2 weeks by going to everyplate.com and entering code MUNEE179. So the link to try EveryPlate will be in my description, and don't forget to use my code MUNEE179. And if you want to see my face more often, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Once you hit subscribe, we instantly become best friends.
Did we just become best friends? Yep!
Make sure you turn on your notifications to all. YouTube may or may not let you know when I post a video, but just in case they don't, follow me on Instagram and let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so you're going to start off with the racetracks from Dollar Tree and a pizza pan. Yep, the famous pizza pans. Now, in order to paint this, you're going to want to take a sanding sponge or sandpaper, and you want to get that film off. It's going to look a little bit like plastic or wax. You want to get that all off so that your spray paint can stay on. Now, I'm just using regular old spray paint and prime, and it's cold out, so I'm giving it enough time to dry. Paint the racetracks with this chalk paint, mainly because I wanted the color to match what I'm going to do with it, but you can use white, and if you want orange, you can keep it orange. It's up to you. Now at Dollar Tree, I was able to score this really nice yarn. It's very thin, which is perfect for this craft. Now I'm going to bind this together and make sure that the hot glue is piping hot and that you're not moving it once you've set it into place. Now I'm going to start wrapping that yarn and trying to keep it as straight as possible. The easiest way is to twirl the racetracks. Don't try and twirl the yarn around it because that will take an eternity. You are going to leave a good 2 inches at the end of each side, cut it, and then do the other side and come back. I start in the middle, same as I did with the other side. It's just a lot easier that way. And you're going to do the same thing, twirl round and round, and then leave about 2 inches when you get to the bottom. Now grab your beautiful pizza pan and try and measure out and see where you're going to glue this together. Try and get it as snug as possible and then hot glue into place. I think I hot glued this backwards, but now I'm going to start to twirl the twine around instead of twirling the, you know what I mean. So twirl it around and then hot glue that into place to where you can't see it. Make sure that it fits. And if you've got little areas that are popping out, you can always disguise those. I disguised them by making little braids with the leftover yarn and putting them exactly where the little bumps are going on, and you can't see them anymore. I did that to both sides and then flooded the bottom with hot glue. Make sure that you're not doing too much so it doesn't seep at the front. And then you put your pizza pan back in and you have a really gorgeous tray for like $3.75. The next craft, you're going to use a bucket. I have this Halloween bucket, but Dollar Tree has tons. You don't need this one. I'm going to rip off the sides. Don't worry about the little holes left over. Those will be covered later on. So for now, we're going to grab our Dollar Tree racetracks. Gotta love these. And I'm going to cut these down, and I'm only going to use one for this craft. I'm going to bend the bottom and then bend the top. So since it's not staying, I grab some scissors and I'm gonna make little slits just so that it bends a little easier. You don't wanna go too far, but you do wanna break apart that little tiny piece so that it bends nicely. Now, you're gonna start to bend this into place As you can tell, we're making a giant mug. So I'm gonna cut this down because I don't need the handle to be too big, and then I'm gonna do the same thing to the other side. Bending the middle just so it takes the shape of a handle and so it stays in place, because since we're only going to use hot glue for this, you don't really want it to push back. Add hot glue that is extremely hot. You can see the steam on this, and once you place it somewhere, do not move it. That's the trick to getting hot glue to stay. Then you're gonna do the bottom, same thing. I'm gonna fill those little pieces though, because the more hot glue, the better. Make sure that it is nice and straight before you move on, and you know, do the same thing. Because we're using hot glue, I can go ahead and spray paint right away. My husband was helping out with this when we did it. I used a very bright red because I used this during Christmas and I wanted to make a red enamel mug, but any color will work. If you want to keep it black, that works too. Now to get the enamel look on this, I used some white paint and I watered it down and used a brush to go ahead and brush that on. You want to make sure that you're careful with this. You don't want to go overboard, but just mix up that paint and then grab your toothbrush from a far distance and go crazy. Now you can leave it as is and have a cute giant mug for your coffee bar, but I used a Dollar Tree bowl to try and make this look like faux whipped cream. I glued it on top and then I used spackle. Dollar Tree has spackle, but it was much cheaper to get platinum patch. It was $7.28, and instead of using a whole lot, I'm just going to spread it onto the side. You can use a piping bag, but honestly, I feel like you would waste more product and it wouldn't look as organic because you'd be piping on little things. I don't know, you do what you like, but I really like how it turned out this way. Before moving on and before letting it dry, I added a gingerbread man, which I used Dollar Tree clay for this, and then I added some cinnamon on top. I used one of the Dollar Tree candy canes to make a straw, but you can of course use a real straw for this. Just pop it in there, and then I use some puff paint to make it look like a nice drizzle. Now you can leave it as is. I did add vinyl to say Merry Christmas because this was a Christmas craft, but look how cute. This next one we're going to use, you guessed it, Dollar Tree racetracks. So this particular craft has taken over my whole life. I started this around December. It was going to be a Valentine's craft, didn't happen. It was going to be a spring craft, didn't happen. And then I was like, you know what? I need to finish this. So I am taking a hot glue gun and I'm making little holes in this. You can use a drill, you can use the tip of some very sharp scissors. You can use whatever you want. If you are using your hot glue gun, make sure that you clean the tip. Balled up aluminum foil is amazing for cleaning off a hot glue gun, even if you get glue on the sides. Now, I'm going to do this to all of my pieces, but you're only going to see me do this to 2. I'm going to use, I believe I used 3 packs for this, and then I moved on to scissors because the hot glue gun thing wasn't working, but a drill would work too. For this next step, I'm going to grab both of those and put one on top of the other. I'm going to make sure that the holes line up. It doesn't matter if they don't line up on the other pieces, but for this, it does matter. So at least like 5 inches up, you want to make sure that they match. Now I'm going to attach these using zip ties. I got mine from Dollar Tree, but you can get yours at Home Depot, Walmart, wherever you want. And I am just going to start to feed these through and tie them together. Make sure that they are facing each other so that when you flip them out, it's even, if that makes sense. Once you're done tightening, make sure that that little lump is right in the middle because you don't want to see this afterwards. Just keep feeding it through and keep having that little area on the inside, not the outside. And you'll see what the outside is in just a second. Cut those extra pieces off, and now I'm gonna grab another pack of racetracks and I'm gonna attach them to the ends of those. Now for this, I'm using 2 zip ties just for support. So I have one on one side, one on the other so that it doesn't move around. And then I'm gonna cut this down. I'm gonna do the same thing to the other side, and you can make this as long as you want or as short as you want, and you'll see why in a second. I'm grabbing another pack and I'm adding one more to each side, doing the same thing. One zip tie on one side, one zip tie on the other, and now I have this cute heart. That's what we've been making. So I'm gonna attach the bottom, doing the same thing, making sure that it is balanced. So I'm keeping it held really tight, and then I'm gonna cut it down because I realized I made this a little too long, but that's okay. So once I cut it down, we have this beautiful heart. It is flimsy. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab some Dollar Tree popsicles and we are gonna start to line this. To make your life easier, overlap them, and then when it gets to an area that's curved, you're going to want to cut your popsicle sticks, which is really easy to do with scissors. Finish, you can move this around and it won't bend. You can do this in the front, in the back for extra stability. I would recommend doing it on all sides. I honestly didn't do that and it still moves a little bit, but had I done this in the back as well, it wouldn't have moved at all. I used Hunter green spray paint, and the only reason I did this is because since I'm using greenery, I don't want to have to use as much, and I didn't want the orange to peek out, so this way you can't really tell once this is dry. Dollar Tree has a ton of greenery, but I personally am not a fan. I'm gonna use the greenery that I got. I think it's cheaper to buy nicer greenery on clearance than to use Dollar Tree because the Dollar Tree one is really not a lot. So those holes that we made, or that I made, are there to help hold the greenery in place without keeping it there permanently. So with some floral wire, which I did purchase at Dollar Tree, I'm just gonna wrap that around my greenery. That way when I'm done with this, I still have all this greenery to use on something else. Now, honestly, the best thing to do if you use greenery a lot is wait for after spring or after holidays and buy garland that's on clearance. You get a big piece of greenery and it's way cheaper than buying small bundles. Or you can buy something like this where when you take it apart, it covers a good amount of surface. This is what it looks like when it's fully covered, and if you want to use hot glue, you can. Now I'm going to use a little bits of flour. This I did take apart. Dollar Tree also has lots of tiny flowers that you can use. Now, for this, I am using hot glue. I'm kind of just pushing out some greenery out of the way and trying to get it on to the actual frame. These are from Dollar Tree. They are the little foam roses, and I just put them right there in the middle. I added another kind of Dollar Tree roses, and boom, look how big and beautiful this is. I'm sorry that I didn't stage this, but my house is all packed up, but look, so beautiful. Again, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. Make sure that you check out every plate. The link is in my description, and use code MUNEE179. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you so much, and I'll see you on the next one.